just been to pick up a new little present for the Prado. Very excited about this one. It's been something I've been looking at getting for a very long time, which has otherwise been out of my reach until now. An opportunity came up, and luckily enough I've made some friends who have been able to help me out with this dream. So yeah, it's sitting in the back of the trailer now, just on my way home, bright and early. Perth Tuesday morning traffic, you beauty. Can you guess what it is? Stay tuned to find out. I know, right? This is my new little project. Ta-da! This is my new project. For those of you who don't know, this is an Alucab Gen 3 rooftop tent. I believe these are the Ducks Nuts rooftop tents at the moment. They are quite expensive for what they are, because they are such a unique design. Now they've kind of been copied by other companies, and like there's similar products like this on the market, which is going to make things more competitive. But in my opinion, this is still the best because of a few design features. This one came up. This is secondhand. This is from a show car that Alucab use in all the four-wheel drive shows in Perth. As such, there's a little bit of there's a few things missing. Needs a little bit of work to kind of get it back to perfect spec, but mechanically it still works perfectly, which I'm very happy about. The interesting thing about this tent is this is actually the only tent in Perth, in WA, in Australia, and I've had this checked by Quick Pitch in Wangara as well. This is the only tent which is painted factory in white. It was not my first choice. I didn't even know this choice existed, but when I saw it I was like, no, I've got to have it. This is something unique and pretty special, so I'm very glad I got this one. So it's obviously missing a few bits and pieces, like it's got the rails on the side here, mattress is missing, ladder is missing, a few other bits and pieces, needs a good clean. But apart from that, I mean, it's my new tent, which I'm awesome. So the old tent is going to be going. This will be going up there with some new crossbars. I've got a four-wheel drive trip coming up in about 3 weeks' time with WA Prado crew. So hopefully this is going to be all ready for that, which is what I'm aiming for. So I've got some bits and pieces to get for it. I'm ordering some parts in through Ironman 4x4. They're the new distributors for Alucab. So things like the ladder, some window stay poles, that sort of stuff. I'm going to get a mattress made up, and yeah, clean it up a bit, and then look at putting on cast on now. So the really big draw card about this tent is the ease and speed in which you can set it up and pack it away, which was kind of a downfall to the soft canvas rooftop tent I've got. It is relatively quick for the amount of comfort you get, but this is just a perfection on top of what I already had. So it's really easy to set up. You've got these two latches, open them, and then the whole thing's on gas struts with the hinge at the front. So literally all you do is just lift it up and away it goes. You have this bit of bungee cord which keeps everything in, so when you're packing up and setting it up and packing it away, it is much easier to handle. You've got the grab handle which makes it easy to pull it down. So once you're set up, I mean, you just take this bungee cord, it comes down out of the way. You'll have your window stay poles which go in these corners, and they hold the front annex out, and then you're set up. That's it. You've got a big space in front. It does taper slightly towards the foot end. So at the head end, the mattress is 2380 wide, and then it gets to about midway and then it starts to taper down towards the foot end, and it goes down to 2270. The whole mattress itself is 2280 long, which is massive. So plenty of space if you're a real tall person. I won't have that problem. So yeah, it's actually wider inside than my King's rooftop tent, which I'm looking forward to. bit more space, a little bit cooler. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. The canvas and doors are all zipped towards the bottom, which is something I'm not really used to, so that will take a bit of practice to kind of, get into the swing of things, how they work. That's the one downside I don't like. I don't like when you go to drop the thing, it all falls down, because then you have to climb over the top of it. But again, that's a design choice by Alucab. The big benefit of doing it that way is when all the windows and everything are up, you can drop the canvas from the top and have the window up the top, allow the breeze through, still get your privacy without having to have the window at the bottom. So another great benefit about these tents is that all the electrics are already hardwired. So inside at the head end, you've got this kind of little port here. You've got two reading lights, LED reading lights with separate switches. You've got USB outlets on one side and 12-volt cigarette socket on the other, which is really cool. And then underneath the tent, there's an Anderson plug, so you can just go straight into your car, nice and easy. I am probably going to look at putting a ceiling light in this one, because I've heard from people who own these tents that that's something they wish they had. Inside the tent, you've got this insulation, like quilted kind of texture, which is on the ceiling, which is awesome for keeping the heat out or the heat in, depending if it's summer or winter. You've got the pockets and everything in the ceiling, which is awesome, so I can put all my clothes and belongings in here. And the only downside is there's a little bit of dirt in some parts, which should just wipe off. So yeah, obviously being secondhand, it's had a bit of use. People have been rubbing their oily heads against it, and it's kind of made it a little bit brown, but we can fix that up easy enough. And just like that, we have a mattress. So this one I got from Clark Robber. I rang them and told them what I needed, dimensions, whatever. For a custom cut mattress from high density foam, we were looking at close to $500, which is a little bit expensive for me. From Alucab, I tried getting a price off of them. They don't even order them in because the freight costs are so high, because they have to be shipped from like South Africa to like Melbourne or Sydney, and then back to Perth, and then to me, and it's blah, blah, blah. So they would have been upwards of 600. This, on the other hand, is the next best thing. So this is a queen size mattress. It's made of 70mm high density foam, and they've managed to cut it down to size for me. So it's not quite as wide as a queen, so they took the sides off. They've got the cutouts for the different aluminium extrusions inside the tent. And then because the queen size bed isn't as long as the mattress needs to be, they've taken one of the bits off the side and cut it so it fits down the end. Now the interesting thing about this is it actually tapers. So from the top to about 3/4 of the way down, about 1400, it's pretty square, it's got a few cutouts. From that 1400 cutoff mark, it then tapers down towards the foot end of the tent. So getting it cut with the taper is obviously the best thing to do. Now, because the mattress sits within a cavity in the tent, even if it's in two pieces, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's filling that void, it's not going to move anywhere. I have got the cover from the queen size tent, which I'm going to attempt to kind of fit on the whole thing. If not, then I'll just run a sheet over the top, but really happy with this. I don't know the quality of what comes with the Alucab. I've heard it's quite good, but I think that getting an actual house mattress cut down to shape will work quite well. The factory one comes with 75mm thick mattress. This one's a 70mm. However, I am going to be putting 25mm of memory foam overlay over the top of this. So overall, it's going to have more mattress, and it's going to be way more comfortable, I think, as well. Now it's starting to feel a little bit homier in here. Got this nice mattress in, fits really well. Definitely worth taking the time to measure and do all the cutouts and bits and pieces. The bit down the end, I'll probably try and wrap at some point just to keep it protected, but I don't think it's going to get much use. I prefer to have a heads up this end, but again, once we get in and start using it, then We'll see what's more comfortable or not. So yeah, that job's done, thankfully, and on a budget as well, which is always a big plus for me. So yeah, on to the next job. But it's pretty comfy up here, so I might have a snooze. So see you later, guys. See you next time. So the tent so far, I've got the window stay poles, which is awesome. It's good to see how it's actually all going to look once it's all set up. This side, I've taken the slider thing off and put a bit of white paint on her. Turns out that Toyota factory white is actually very closely matched. Doesn't look like it because of the light at the moment, but this side is going to be covered by the awning anyway. So there's the fox wing down here, and then this is the bracket that is supplied to put the awning on, because the tent itself has a taper in it. Now Alucab expect you to put the tent, because there's a second bracket that goes on the back corner, but it leaves like about a 30 or 40 mil gap between the tent and the back of the awning, which for my application is just going to be letting rain and everything straight into the car. So I need to mount mine as close to the tent as possible. So this bracket has to stay, but it's going to get modified so that instead of that sitting out so far from the tent, it's going to be sitting closer in. So hopefully I can have the not have the fox wing being bent when it gets mounted up. So that's my next little job. That's how that all mounts on there. And then there's some sandwich plates and nuts to go on the inside of the tent. The other thing that rocked up in the mail, my new ladder. So instead of using the normal Alucab supplied one, which is a single fixed ladder, so it doesn't slide in and out or get any smaller, this one's a telescopic collapsible one. Just got this one from eBay, and it was delivered from like Sydney to here in like 3 days, which is very impressive. And I think this is going to be a bit smaller, and I can just have to make up some mounts to go on the top, so it can mount up to the side of the tent when I'm ready to use it. And there it is, awning's all mounted up. Just dummied for now, it's going to come back off. Once I mount the tent on top of the car, then I'll mount the awning up proper. But you can see it's now nice and snug. It's got that weather tape in there to make sure nothing gets in while it's raining. And then that bracket, which I've altered, now keeps that nice and close and deals with that taper. So very happy with that. But yeah, that's enough work for the day. Good morning. Back at it again, back in the office, ready to hopefully finish this up. I'm really hoping that I can have this on the car mounted up today. I'm going to finish up with some brackets that are going to hold the bottom of the awning just to secure it. The top's mainly doing all the load and we've got 3 points of contact for that, but the bottom will just kind of help it from swaying, I think. So I'm just making up some little brackets to go underneath there, and then we're going to start looking at, I've got to give the roof of the Prado a good clean because it hasn't been cleaned since, well, for the last 3 years since I've had that rooftop tent. And then hopefully we should be able to lift this thing on. We're just about to start fitting up these rails. They're very, very nice, made by Alucab in South Africa. They're all aluminium or alloy or something. They're very, very light. And they go the full width of the actual tent, which is very handy. So this setup, the rack setup, is going to be seriously lighter than what I previously had. I previously had an ARB deluxe steel rack, which was, I'd say, maybe 20 to 30 kilos. I mean, that was a good rack. It was very strong, did exactly what I wanted it to do. But now that I'm putting more weight up there, I obviously need to try and reduce the amount of weight I have up there. Because I'll put the proper numbers up on the screen. The weight is lower down and spread across more of the car, which is better for stability. But obviously, I mean, more weight up high is still more weight up high. So offsetting that, being able to reduce the weight of the actual rack by a huge amount. These bars weigh next to nothing, and I got 3 of them compared to the 20 to 30 kilos for the ARB rack, is going to be a pretty big offset. So I'm not going to be less weight, but I'm definitely going to be less than I would otherwise be. So anyway, I've just marked out where I need to drill on these. These are going to attach, they're just going to bolt straight through to the ARB backbone system for the rack. It has a higher weight capacity than the single feet that come with some racks. So yeah, really looking forward to getting these on. They're nice and black, they're smooth, they're aerodynamic, they look very inconspicuous, which I really, really like. But now I've got to drill a dirty big hole in each, or 4 holes in each of them, and put a bolt through them. So yeah, I've marked them out as best I can, measured them where they're going to mount the best. So I think all that's left to do now is fire the drill up and wish me luck. I've measured twice and I can only drill once, so we'll see how they go. As is tradition of me, I've made a bit of a boo-boo. These rails on the Prados are not completely parallel left to right, meaning that the measurements of where those holes need to go were off. So I needed to re-measure and drill them, and of course, because there's 3 of them and they're all slightly out, I've got to redo the lot. So another late night for me finishing off. I thought. I did it! Welcome back. Tent is all fitted up. I didn't really sleep much last night because I was dreaming so much about how freaking good this thing is. And now the tent's up there, that's all the hard work done, because it was always going to be a tough job to get it all up there, but we got it done last night. So big thanks to my mate Zane for coming around and giving me a hand. Today's job is going to be all about fitting the fox wing to the side. The problem I'm facing at the moment is these rails come out about 25mm too far, and they're going to interfere with mounting the actual awning. So I'm going to get up there this morning, mask everything up and cut off the ends because they're only aluminium, so it should be easy enough to cut. And then we're going to look at mounting the awning all up there. that. The tent itself I can just paint over. No one's actually going to see that part anyway because it's going to be hard up against the awning. But that end I need to tidy up. Might get the grinder out, I think. The Fox wing is all mounted up to the tent. Very happy with how it sits. It sits all completely flush with the tent, which I really wanted. I didn't want a gap between them because then you end up with rain coming and pouring down, getting on the side of the car, and just so now it's nice and flush. Very, very happy with that. The last thing I need to do is figure out how I'm going to attach my ladder, because I've got a telescopic ladder that I bought from eBay, as opposed to just a single length alley cab one that can be supplied. I just got to figure out how I'm going to attach that to the side of the car, but that's a project for another day, I think. Very happy with where it's got now. It's taken 3 weeks from purchase to get to this. Look, thanks guys for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe. Got more content and stuff coming on the way. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some more content of this thing being used, either camping, out forward driving as well, see how it goes on the corners. And yeah, I'll let you guys know how it actually stands up to the test of time. So thanks guys, catch you next time.